How can you buy the property you're renting? Well, today we're going to take you through a how-to guide on how you can buy the property you've been renting.
Tenant turned buyers generally fall into two categories, and this could be you. You might have been living in the property for a number of years and you kind of love it and don't really want to move. Or you could be new to the area. Or you might have just recently moved into the area and might be worried the property is going to sell. So you want to buy the place that you're currently renting. So in this detailed guide, we're going to take you through the exact steps that you need to follow to buy the home that you've been renting.
Let's dive right in. So as Jayden mentioned before, you might be living in the property that you've been renting for a long period of time, or you've moved in the area and you like the area, you actually like the property you're living in and you're keen to buy it.
All right, so step number one is you've got to work out the value of the property, because there's no point trying to buy something if it's going to be way above your price range. Now, what are some tips that you can do to work out what you should offer even before you start talking to the landlord?
Definitely. So I guess the few online tools we've talked about in previous videos that you can use are things like real hours, on the house, RP data. There's a heap of online tools you can use to see what other properties are selling in the area.
It can be as simple as just going on realestate.com.au, putting in your suburb, putting in the amount of bedrooms the house you have and the amount of bathrooms, and generally working out what the property is going to be worth. Again, if you're looking at something and you think it might be worth 500 and you find out online there's a lot of places selling in your street for $1 million, you're gonna have to get a bit more realistic on that budget.
So step number 2 is aim to get an off-market purchase. Now what we mean by that is avoiding the intervention of a real estate agent. That can save you up to 2 or 3% in terms of costs for both parties involved. So if you have the owner's details of the property, get in touch with them. You can usually find this on your lease agreement that you've signed when you initially took out the rental property.
Yeah, and if you can't find the owner's details, that's all right. You can potentially get in touch with your property manager and ask to be put in touch with the owner directly to have a bit of a chat. But I guess, Nathan, why would the owner want to sell their property like this off market? Why wouldn't they want to go on the market? What are some advantages and how can you sell it to them to try and buy the property?
So the first and most obvious one is the real estate agent fees. We said it before, you can save up to 2 to 3% without the intervention of a real estate agent, which is good news for the seller because that's one less thing they need to worry about as a cost to the bottom line.
And it's even going to make your offer look a bit better because instead of them paying the 3% to the agent, you might be able to get a 3% discount from the purchase price. So you can use that to sell to them. The second one, down a similar vein, is they're not going to have to pay any marketing costs. So when you sell a property, you have to pay the real estate agent commission to sell it. But generally there's also marketing costs in putting on realestate.com.au, in newspapers, etc., etc. These can add up to be a few $1,000s. So it's another really good thing you can tell the owner and say, well, here's my offer, and it's actually going to save you a bunch of cash.
The third is there's a bit more flexibility because you're already renting the property. If the landlord wants to extend settlement or have certain terms that are met, well, it's absolutely okay because you're already living in the property already and you can afford to be far more flexible.
Saves you having to pay for removal fees as well. So it's a good one that kind of win-win as long as you can get the numbers to stack up.
And the fourth advantage is as the buyer, you already know everything about the property. So there's not going to be any concerns when you get that building and pest report back and you see things that need doing, there's a problem with the door or the sink, you're already across all the details. So it's unlikely you're going to pull out of the contract for little things. If there is a massive issue like termite-ridden property, well then of course you probably double think about what you do moving forward.
Buying the home that you've been renting is becoming a bit more of a common occurrence, and we're seeing it a little bit more these days.
Yeah, and sometimes when you're renting the property you're living in and you find out the property is actually going to market, you can be taken by surprise. So it's always important to make sure that you've got your finances in order. Feel free to hit us up at huntergalloway.com.au if you'd like to chat about your finances and see what your position's like. And as always, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.